Sick. Should be working. Been a while since I've done one of these, so let's see how we get on. Wanted to go live on YouTube. Wanted to talk about some of the questions I'm getting asked inside the community, some of the most popular things. I'm live here on my phone as well on Instagram, so people can ask me questions on YouTube, on Instagram, whatever they want to do. Let me just quickly find this. Okay. So the idea of this is whatever I'm talking about in my community and whatever's the most popular talking point, if you want to call it that, I'll talk about on a weekly basis. Every Wednesday, I'm going to jump on here, go live, answer questions for you, whatever you want to ask, and just riff. Really, more of a raw approach because some of the edited videos and some of the I've obviously got a full team here, studio, and I just think it's much better sometimes, a bit more personal to actually answer questions live and whatever. So the topic that I get asked for years. I get asked about is like how you deal with when you outgrow your friends and they start getting jealous, or girlfriends, or business partners, or anything like that. And I wrote a big long thing about it this week, and I want to talk through it. But it's basically the ideology that the more you grow as a person, the more shifts you go through life, and the more phases you go through life, and you have to learn how to jump in between those phases without like causing as little friction as possible, or friction if you need to, but from your own side. So it's about being assertive as a man and being in control of your situation without being reactive and emotional. And all I see all the time, especially all over the internet, is reactive emotional bullshit, and people talking about cutting off. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you've got to cut off losers, and you've got to cut off negative energy, and you've got to cut off da 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 da. They like to use the thing cut off, and I called this thing why you need to be selfish in 2026, because it's all about you rather than being about other people. And the main theme that we talk about inside the upgrade is becoming the perfect version of yourself, or the best version of yourself, and how you do that by setting standards. And that's the main thing. In the red pill community, people call it frame, but frame is just standards. It's all it is. It's nothing else. They just come up with some weird terminology to try and sound important, but it's just setting standards for your life. And setting standards is not about other people. It's about yourself and who you want to become and who you are right now. And understanding that your actions and your daily habits are the person that you become. And by understanding who you want to be, you set the standard to that person and you follow that with action. So it's easy said theoretically, but it's in reality, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And like I said, when people tell you to cut people off, then it's very difficult to cut off close people, like family, close friends, people that you grew up with, people you go to school with for 10 years and and you have all these memories with. Women, it can be hard, really, really hard to cut off. And it's like the idea of outgrowing these people, but still allowing them to be a part of your life. And I've made this mistake myself so many times, and I still make it. And I think that's something that's important with all this stuff that I talk about online, and all of the lessons. They're more like life lessons from me talking to a younger version of myself. So I've probably made these errors, and that's how I have the knowledge to be able to talk about them. And I've definitely cut people off in my life that I shouldn't have cut off, and I've done it out of ego, and I've done it out of jealousy, and I've done it out of feeling inferior, whatever you want to call it. And as you grow up and you mature a little bit, you understand that life is long, and it's a long game, not a short game. And another buzzword is people tell you life is short, go after what you want, da 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 da. It's bullshit. Yes, you could die tomorrow, but reality is we're living longer and longer and longer, and life is very, very long. So if you have friends that you cut off because they don't align with you in that moment in your life, maybe they're just not in the right stage, and they're going to come back around, and they're going to help you in the future, or they're going to be a big part of your life in the future. Business partners, women, whatever. So the advice, you have to cut off weakness and you have to cut off losers, I agree with, but I'm going to talk about the way to do it, and how the importance of how you act and how you set a standard, and understanding that by setting standards in your life and by having frame, as people call it in red pill, you're going to lose more opportunities than you gain. And you're going to, like, a lot of people talk about, again, frame being very, very popular with women. And people think, oh, if I set frame and I've got a strong frame, I'm going to get loads of pussy. And it's actually the opposite. You're actually going to get less. And frame is not about attracting people. Frame is about living to your own standard. But the ones that you qualify and the ones that get through that standard and get through that frame and become a part of your life, as long as you're saying the right frame and understanding it, they're going to be better quality individuals. And the same idea of frame and standard in business and life comes down to individuality and who you are. So everyone has different standards, everyone has different frame, everyone has different ideology. So it's down to you to determine that. And again, this is why we talk about in the upgrade, it always comes down to becoming the best version of yourself or trying to become the best version of yourself and trying to fill the gap. So when you start thinking about the person that you want to become, people talk about the law of attraction and they talk about energy and they talk about all of these things. Again, it comes down to you visualizing the life that you want and you thinking about the life that you want, and then you setting the standards of that person living that life. So if you want to be a certain type of person, you have to set your standards to right now to how that person would react and how that person would live. And an easy story about it from my past always comes back to fighting again. But I remember when I was making my pro debut and I was fighting a guy called Chris Grieg, a guy that both my mentor August Vollen and my mentor Jack Mason both fought and both beat, and I was a third of the Tsunami team to fight against him. But for me, it was a big deal. Pro debut, I had 10 amateur fights. I lost one, I won nine. I was on an 8-fight win streak. And I turned pro because Chris Grieg annoyed me and I wanted to fight this one guy. He used to have a mohawk. He was a typical cage fighter with tattoos and it was a bit of a bad attitude and a bit of a dickhead. So I decided I want to fight this guy. He was 15-7, I want to say his record was. And I was 0-0 because I was turning pro. So me taking on this fight and going to my coach and saying, I want this fight, he was like, bro, the guy's had 22 professional fights. Why do you want to fight this guy? And I just said, I don't like him. I think I can beat him. Let's do it. And my coach at the time, Robbie Olivier, sat me down and he was like, okay, I don't think you should do this. I don't think you should fight this guy. I think he's got too much experience. I think he's too high level, da, 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 da. But if you want to do it and that's your decision, we'll stand by it and we'll help you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he said to me, how do you think you should train to fight this guy? And I laid out my plan, you know, like what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to train like this. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. He was like, okay. Now, imagine you're fighting for a UFC world title. How would you train for a UFC world title? And I added psychology, I added rehab, I added massage, I added all these traveling here and there, going to the best gyms in the UK, training with the best people I could find, bringing them to my gym in Cambridge, all of these other layers of fighting for a world title. I'm going to train to the best of my ability. And he looked at me and he was like, right, we're going to do that. We're going to fight and we're going to train as if you're fighting for a UFC world title. That is how you need to fight every single time. That's how you have to train every single time for every fight, no matter what fight it is. And that is the same mentality here as setting a standard. I was putting myself at UFC world title level in my mind, and I was training to that level, setting the standard of that person. You just carry that over into the rest of your life. So again, that's all of the lessons that I've learned in life come from the fight gym, and they come from MMA, and they come from mentors, and they come from people that have helped me and people have trained me, et cetera, et cetera. And I always parallel back to that because fighting is a microcosm of life. And fighting, you go through the emotional ups and downs that you see in business, that you see in relationships, that you see in everything else. So having spent 18 years of my life in combat and going through the deepest, darkest, most horrible lows and having the biggest highs, I have had that emotional roller coaster so many times, and then moving that into business and money and women, and I could talk for days about it. So that's why I always go back to fighting, because I think it's the most real version of what you're facing. You know, when you start thinking about fear and you start thinking about problems, none of it is real compared to a guy trying to kill you in a cage. That's as real as it gets, apart from going to war, which obviously I'm not a soldier. I've not been there. So that's the only level I would put above what I've done and how I've taken these lessons from it. So setting standards to fight for a world title, I would then fight my pro debut to that standard. Obviously, went into that fight. I won, second round knockout, sick. The other two guys that fought him didn't beat him as good as I beat him. So I got that. And then I went on the same mentality and I went on a bit of a run, and I think I won for the next 5 years straight. I didn't lose a fight until I was in the Ultimate Fighter. I lost my third fight in the Ultimate Fighter against Dylan Andrews, a kid from New Zealand. We won fight of the season, 25 Gs. I remember that. That was good too. But now it comes down to the lesson that I'm trying to teach everyone else. And I've had to reset and reestablish my standards and my vision and my frame again, if you want to call it that, in life so many different times. And you go through these different phases. So, a young kid who's trying to work out who he wants to become, the man you want to become will change so many different times as you move into different industries, different phases in life. You become a father, you lose your father, you whatever it's going to be, you lose a mentor. You're going to go through so many different phases. So it always has to come back down to who do I want to be and who do I want to become and how do I set that standard? Again, I want to fight for a UFC world title. I'm going to train like I'm fighting for a UFC world title. I want to become a multi-millionaire who runs multiple businesses. I'm going to live my life to that standard. I want to have a beautiful wife or I want to have 10 girlfriends. I'm going to live my life to that standard. And by setting that standard, you then can go around your life, through your life and through your day and through everything, living up to that person and living to that standard, which sometimes is going to be out of your reach. You're going to have those emotional moments where you wish that you could do that, but you don't do it. And you're going to have to reevaluate and see if you've overstepped or overset. But when it comes to like I said, the most common question I get asked, which is dealing with others that maybe are jealous of you or you upset with your success or you upset by setting this standard, that's a big part of it. And the big buzzword of cutting people off and getting rid of people, that's such a big problem in the mentality of it. Because, like I said, life is long and these people are going to come back around in your life if you allow them to. So, my mentality on it now, and like I said, I've made many mistakes and I've changed my opinion on this many times, but now I always leave the door open to anyone in my life. So if they've managed to get close to me in some way, again, like romantically, business wise, friendship wise, whatever it is, they obviously have some sort of quality in them, something I like about them, something I want from them, something that attracts me to them. So if I've allowed them to enter my life at some point, people are going to say they could become toxic or could become jealous or they could become negative and you should cut them off. Yes, but you should only cut them off through your standard by setting your standard and them having to live up to that standard. And if they don't live up to that standard, then they don't have proximity to you. They're not as close to you. You don't spend as much time with them. Maybe you don't respond to their messages as quickly, whatever it is. And they slowly phase out of your life. But that's their decision, not your decision. Because if your goal is to become an inspiring figure and be good at something and grow in some way, you're going to ruffle feathers. You're going to upset people. But you're also, the reason they're upset deep down is because they wish they could do what you are doing. There's that phrase where they say hate only comes from below, right? You never have someone doing more than you, winning more than you, saying that you bad things about you from above. Doesn't happen. It's only ever haters that hate from below. So the reason they're hating from below is because you're a constant mirror and a constant reminder of who they could become, of what they could do. If you're going to the gym every day and you're in great shape and you talk to them about fitness and nutrition and they're like, oh, blah, 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 and they start insulting you, it's because they wish they had the strength to do that, but they don't. So although they hate on you, you actually inspire them at the same time. So it's like that love-hate relationship. They say there's a thin line between love and hate. There's a really, really thin line between hate and inspiration. Most haters actually are extremely inspired, but they've got something wrong with them inside and they feel like they can't achieve that thing. Or they weren't willing to do that, or they're afraid of it, and they're annoyed at themselves for being afraid, and they take that out on you. So you have to always remember that when you're getting hate from people close to you, because that's the hardest part. When they're close to you, it's actually because you inspire them. It's actually because they look up to you. It's actually because they respect you. And a very simple one for anyone who's British, who's watching. I gave up drinking last year. I'm about 450 days sober or something like that. And it's a great example because when you stop drinking, the amount of people that insult you and make jokes and belittle you and say, "Oh, come on, mate, what's one pint going to do?" or something like that, and they test you, and if you react emotionally to it, again, the answer could be shut them off. They're toxic. They're not going to help you stop drinking. Get rid of them. Blah blah blah, and shut them out and lose all those friends that you've built for years. But how does that help you? It only hurts you in the long run, in long life, because maybe back in 20 years, maybe they don't drink as well, or maybe you go back to drinking or whatever, or maybe they just get over it. and you could have made a very, very small thing a huge thing because they said something that triggered you emotionally and upset you, and you reacted to it because you were like, "Oh, I'm trying to do this fucking thing, and you're not supporting me." If they're not supporting you, they're not supporting you. That doesn't change your standard. Your standard of living is, I don't drink alcohol because I think it's not good for me, and I want to live the best life, whatever it is. They don't have to do that as well. They don't have to be on the same journey. They don't have to do similar things. You have to be strong enough to withstand their opinion and move forward. But their opinion of hate most of the time is laced with respect, because most people respect that you can withhold from something like alcohol or drugs, or you're not someone that gets pushed down by those things. Trust me, a lot of people, they come back to me later in life, go, "Oh, I really respect that you give up for a year or whatever." Whereas they're the ones that were insulting me at the first time because they feel the weakness. Like, "Oh, I wish I could do that, but I can't." So they insult and they test. And then a year later, they come back and like, "Oh, bro, you're smashing it. Well done for this and this and this and this." So it's a psychological thing. You have to remember that when it comes to hate, most of it is really they respect you for doing something they cannot do, right? So why would you close the door or burn the bridge to someone that respects you? Deep down, deep down, they have respect for you, even though they're not showing it, and they're being emotional. This is where setting a standard and living by your word, and being a man rather than being a boy is so important. By what do they say? Taking higher ground. It's not even taking higher ground, but it's just not being reactive and understanding in the long run, you're making the best decision for you and for them, you know? So it depends on what the situation is. But setting the standard for your life, well, then a lot of people will talk about how you change, and they'll use this word selfish. That's why I titled this Why You Need to Be Selfish in 2026. Because there's the thing recently, I was on a podcast with Adam Power, and he reminded me of something called memento mori, which is mean one day you will die. So you need to remember memento mori means that in one moment in your life you will die, and if you keep that in your mind at all times, then you live your life to your fullest. It's not a negative thing; it's a positive thing. So memento mori, we're going to die one day. Let's live life properly today, right? So that day that you finally die, memento mori, you have to think about all of these people that are being judgmental, all of these people that you feel are trying to hold you back, all of these people that are insulting you or trying to pull you down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How many of their lives are going to be affected by you not being around anymore? How many of them are going to come to the funeral, say some nice words, and then fuck off and live their normal life? What's going to happen in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, a year? Do they care anymore, or do they just move on with their lives? 99.9% of them don't care. They move on. They got bills to pay. They got lives to live, and they just carry on going. So that's what I think of when I think of memento mori. I think of the people that are insulting me, the people that are trying to hold me back, the people that are judging me. Their opinions do not matter anyway, because once I'm gone, I'm gone. And I'm not going to be in their lives anymore, and they're not going to hold me in their heart anymore anyway. So why am I allowing the judgment of others to affect my actions today? That's when, again, setting the standard of your life and being selfish and thinking about yourself and putting yourself before everyone else and before everything else is the most important thing. And then selfishness has this whole negative connotation to it, whereas you shouldn't be selfish. You should try and be humble. You should try and look after others. Bullshit. That's just a trick that is being played on you by, I don't know, psyop by the elites, or what, people with money, whatever you want to call it, however it makes you feel good. But it's just a psyop to hold you back, because they talk about money being negative. They talk about money being evil. There's all these different things. None of that is true. It's just down to the individual. And if you're a good person and you want to create good things and you want to add good things to the world and you want to bring success to the world, the more money you have, the better. The more success you have, the better. The more you care about yourself, the better. If you have a family that you have to look after, yes, you spend time away from your family to create money, to create wealth, to create a better life for them. If they hold you back and you put them first and you don't put yourself first, you can't even look after them the way you wanted to look after them anyway. So it makes no sense. And you see this all the time with women, all the time in relationships. The men don't hold frame, they don't hold their standards. They put the woman first. And by putting the woman first and you being caring and telling you love her and not going to work and not going on the trips you need to go on and not working late and coming home and blah, 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 you negatively affect your life in the long run. You don't get the success that you thought you were going to get, but you spent your time with that woman who then eventually thinks you don't become the man that you said you were going to become, or that she thought you were going to become, because you spent your time with her and then she leaves and then you're fucked. So it's like reverse psychology, and you need to be strong in your standards and hold it and think, no, I'm going to be me. I'm going to live my life to my standard. And that is what's going to cause friction. And that is what's going to get haters to come towards your life. The only time you ever get these negative people is when you hold standard, because they can't. So the whole thing you need to think about is, where am I going in my life? How do I want to get there? And the first step to getting there is setting standards. It's qualifying people in your life. I only want these sort of people in my life. It doesn't mean you shut them out and you never fucking speak to them. It just means they're not at top of your priorities. The people that are top of your priorities are the people that add to your life. And they might come back around because, like I said, they might see you in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You might have moved so far ahead of them and they might be inspired by that. And then in 20 years, they'll be so far ahead of you. And then they can open a door for you. But because you told them to fuck off one day because you had an emotional reaction, you're limiting your options. And you never want to do that. You never want to limit anything in your life. And this is a lesson I have learned the hard way, by shutting people off, by telling people to fuck off, by being this like, oh, I do what I want. I don't care about other people's opinions. I don't care about this person. And it's such a, and I got that all from, society telling me to live a certain way. And it's all wrong. You should be a real, what's the word, inspiration or light in people's lives. And that's what you should aim to be. And you should be doing that through hard work and through pushing yourself, and by completely setting us to constantly reevaluating your standards and pushing your standards and becoming better. And by doing that, you inspire others and they can then join you on your journey and you can grow together. And if the people that are holding you back are your family, your girlfriend, whatever, like we said about, don't shut the door. Don't be the one to push them out. Just hold them to a standard. And if they don't uphold that standard, they will leave on their own. And it'll be their decision to leave you on you're on your mission. You're being selfish in 2026. You're doing your thing. If they're not adding to it, they will realize, and they will blame, and they will have hate, and they'll say bad things about you, etc., etc. It doesn't matter. Just shut that off and be like, okay, cool. Door's always open. I wish you well. I wish you the best. And I'm sure they'll come back around. And if they don't, they don't. But the door is always open. And it was because your terms were set at a certain standard and they couldn't live up to that. That's different to cutting people off. That's different to burning bridges. That's different to, thinking you're better than others and all these other bullshit that people tell you. You don't do that. You just live your life because it's your life and you want to live a certain way. And you will be amazed at the response that you get over time. It's long, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I just got a message a couple of weeks ago. I sent it to the lads group. One of the girls from school, the fit girls, like that real fit girl at school that everyone wants to be with. She messaged me like, oh, you're doing well. I was like, yeah, you could have fucking messaged me 18 years ago when I was a loser. But no, you have to wait 18 years to get those messages. Then you look and you think, oh, she's fucking busted now anyway. So I'm not interested. But it's still nice, still nice. So life is long is the lesson with that, with the birds and all that sort of stuff. So you have to look at it that way. Let's see if I have questions. And then I got Canis here just now in the studio. He's going to really see betrayal at a young age. Again, how young? I don't know what the young age is. Betrayal, when we're talking about women, talking about men, talking about whatever. This is a common one. If like someone says, oh, some people deserve to be cut off because they betray you or because they scam you or because whatever. Again, don't react emotionally. Just set your standard. Just be the man that they can envy. The best way you can, win the situation is just by being better. Not by caring about them, not by shutting them off, not by being insulting towards them. Don't tell nobody. Again, if someone is talking badly about someone else, again, I got betrayed and I talk badly about the person that betrayed me. That's not helping me. That's only hurting me. People are looking at me like, one, you're bitching and moaning about being betrayed, which shows you trust wrong, you have bad intuition, and then you moan about it. That means that you talk about other people behind their back. That means there's so many negatives that come from that situation. Again, you have to just hold your head up high. Okay, I fucked up. I made a mistake. And then you need to reevaluate and look at, why were you betrayed? Because most betrayal comes from again, you not being good enough and them trying to use you to get something out of it. So a lot of it is, there's a Stoic quote that I'm never going to remember that's really, really good on this. But it says something along the lines of within betrayal, you play a part, or you have a hand in betrayal. So you blame everything on everyone else. It's not their fault. You got betrayed because of you. So you need to evaluate that. Why did they think it was okay? Why did you allow them? How did it happen? That's something that self-analysis is so important in every negative situation. You always blame everyone else. Oh, he betrayed me. He's a scumbag. Da, da. Why? What did you do? How did that happen? So that's what I would say. I would say, again, don't react to it emotionally. Very fucking easy to say and hard to do. I understand, but don't react to it emotionally. Try and evaluate why that person felt that they could get away with it, for one, or that they thought it was the best action. Because if you're an inspiring figure and you're winning and you're surrounded by winners and everyone's on the up, you think there's much of an advantage to betraying you? I personally believe if I'm in your life and I'm your friend and we're doing working on projects together, I'm more valuable in your life than out your life. So if you think you're going to betray me, it means you don't see value in me. Normally, people don't see value in you because you don't see value in yourself. So if you don't see value in yourself, you can be betrayed. Oh, really? Okay. Bloody hell. I try and stay away from the woman stuff, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to the same things. The best thing when it comes to breakup and feeling depressed, we all go through it. Everyone's been through it. I've been through it recently, so I understand. You have good days and you have bad days, but understanding that life is long, there's always somebody else, and like I just said about betrayal, if you're heartbroken because they left you or because they broke up with you, why did they break up with you, bro? What did you do wrong? What did you not become? What did you not live up to in their mind, in their memory? Were you too needy? Well, evaluate the relationship properly, not through your eyes, but properly. Again, very hard to do. But that's what growing up is. When you go through heartache and you go through heartbreak and someone breaks your heart and someone hurts you and someone breaks up with you, it's probably your fault. It's not their fault. They probably see you and thought you'd be something, and you projected a certain image of yourself, and you didn't live up to that image. That's 99% of it. You say one thing to her, but your actions don't uphold that. You don't follow through with what you say. So we talk a lot about this again in the upgrade. We talk about how you need to keep promises. First, you need to keep promises to yourself. Then you have to keep promises to other people, and then you have to keep promises to God. So whoever God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, that's how it starts. Starts within you, then it goes to other people in your circle, women, whatever, and then the universe, because that's how you really get rewards, by keeping your word. And I guarantee she broke your heart and she left you because you didn't keep your word in some way. Whatever it was, you projected a certain image of yourself, you didn't live up to that image, so she fucked off and got somebody else. Is what it is. What you do, set your standard, live up to your standard, and next time, don't project a version of yourself that doesn't exist and not back it up. You can project a version of yourself that doesn't exist, but then you got to back it up, and that's the hard part, right? So maybe you shot too far and she was too hot for you anyway. Important trait to becoming a leader. Are you asking these questions or they're getting asked? That Okay. Um, Again, leadership comes down to inspiration. It becomes down to, I believe, everyone that I look up to in my life has achieved greatness and achieved great things and done great things. It goes all the way back to like Jack Mason, who's one of my first mentors, if you want to call it mentor, John McGuire, Charles Sonnen, obviously Andrew now, and all these guys. They're all pushing boundaries, they're all pushing limits, and they're all doing exactly what I just said. They're saying something and they're backing it up with action. That's what I respond to. I respond to seeing people. Even now, my business partner, Bradley, what he says he does, and he's backing it up with hard fucking work. And that's inspiring. And that's what people you want to be around. So if you want to be a good leader, one of the things that I was taught at a young age when I was working in restaurants, which is a long, long time ago, is everyone thinks leadership is top down. Everyone thinks that you're the leader, you're the boss, you tell someone to do something and they do it. But it's actually the other way around. And you need to help the people that work for you. You need to inspire the people that work for you. The people that work for you need to look up to you. So you're not any better than they are. You're just at a different level in life, and you need to try and help them grow to your level. You need to try and replace yourself. A good leader is always trying to replace himself. At the same time, whilst trying to replace himself, he's broadening his knowledge, he's becoming better, he's pushing limits. And if you're doing that, you're then creating like an upward spiral, because the people below you are getting better. Again, I could talk about fighting, and I'll do it in a second. The people above you, below you, are getting better. So you need to be better to stay at the top. You're creating a pressure cooker. And that's how it works in MMA or jiu-jitsu, the easiest way to talk about it. The, you know, the blue belts train the white belts. So when you go to the gym, there's a white belt who doesn't know shit and a blue belt who knows a little bit more. That blue belt will teach the white belt. And you have all these sneaky fucking blue belts who teach you things, but they always teach you the things that don't work. And they just do it so they can continue beating you forever. They never tell you their secrets. So you need to find a blue belt who tells you their secrets and tells you the truth, because he wants to become better. So I used to teach all the time, and I would teach people my top moves, my best bits, and then they would try and do those best bits on me, and I would have to fucking work out the answer to that, and that would make me better. So yeah, I don't know what the question was, but yeah, leadership comes is down up, not up down. Is you will improve by improving the people beneath you. If the people beneath you improve, you will become better. So it's a selfish act. Leadership is a selfish act where you make the people below you better. That means you have to be better. That means you have to be top of the pile. It takes work. So yeah, I just saw a big question comment. Let me get on the YouTube. We're going to try and do these lives a little bit more once a week on a Wednesday. Just talk about different points. So I'm sure if you asked the question and we didn't get to it, we'll get to loads of them. Here we go. I have no idea what this means, but okay. What's my most favorite memory of this year? This year's only just begun, bro. It's February now. We're February still. Yeah. That's my life. Best moment this year. It's been a tough year, mate. To be honest, already it's been tough. So I've had a lot of good moments, but probably going to Vegas. What's that this year? Can't remember. Going to Vegas with Atiba Gutierrez. He's a middleweight in UFC, 4-0 now. He was 1-0 on Dana White Contender Series as well. So had 5 fights under the UFC banner, won them all. Super impressive guy. Being around him for a week, being on the mats, it took me back into my old days. I was on the mats at the UFC PI, and I was surrounded by all of these superstars: Alex Pereira, Khabib, Amanda Nunes, all these, Sean Strickland, all these people were there training and being around that vibe again and that gym mentality. Really enjoyed that. And then obviously cornering at the fight, him winning the fight, and yeah, just little moments that week were great. So I'd say Vegas has been top moment for me this year so far. Oh, is he? Marcel's a big fan, mate. I can see it. You know, what's he saying? So this is anyone who knows Marcel Mullings, right? He's some little black kid who can't fucking jump to save his life. How does he think he can beat a 6'6" ex-professional athlete of basketball? I used to play basketball for years. Anyone in the comments who thinks Marcel Mullins can beat me, I'll smash your head in. But we need to do it, Marcel. So if you're watching, we need to get that on. We said we're doing Dubai. I showed up. You weren't there. Remember, we set a time. We set a date. I was there on the court, sweating, warming up, getting ready for you show up. You never showed. So you already lost. 1-0, Luke. Marcel, fuck you. But yeah, I think we're all good. I don't know. Opinion on looks maxing. Someone would have seen my tweet. I don't really know what looks maxing is. Looks maxing is this thing about trying to make yourself pretty, right? Come on. Look at me. I'm a fucking monster. Being beautiful is not part of my genetic makeup. I don't believe that a man. Yeah, I was told a long time ago, as a bloke, if you're trying to get women, you can go 2 ways. You can be a monster or you can be a pretty boy. I'm obviously a monster. I went the monster route. So it's up to you what you want to do. I understand that being attractive helps, especially in this world, and you get more attention, etc., etc., etc. But it just seems like such a female thing to do to me. It doesn't seem like a masculine thing to me. It doesn't seem like being in shape and having capability and lifting weights and being strong and being out to fight. That all seems masculine to me. So if that shapes you into a more attractive man, great. if you spend time injecting your face or scraping it or what, I don't even know what they do. I really don't understand it. I pay no attention to it. And there's all this new terminology with, I don't even understand it. But for looks maxing, I think it's underlined with a lot of homosexuality, is what I would say. So I don't really understand it, and I think if you're so worried about the way that you look, there's a lot of better things you could be doing with your time. That would be my capsulated answer, if you want to put it that way. Think any more questions on IG? Let me have a little look. Clav is no different than Kim Kardashian. Don't know who that is. Okay. Do you have any advice for a 20-year-old guy who made 15K a month and lost it all and is trying to build everything back? I mean, in 1 month, so you just made 15K, or you made 15K a month from a different business. Again, all the lessons I had someone ask me this before about failure and everything else. All the lessons you learn from that business, you just fold into another one. You're 20 years old, so you have to evaluate why it went wrong, what happened, why it didn't continue, and you have to, rather than see it as a negative, see it as a positive. That you have the ability to make 15 grand a month. You've done it. You've proven. A lot of people don't even touch that, so they don't even understand it or feel it at a deep level that you can make that sort of money every month. So if you know you can make that money every month, you've won 90% of the battle. Now you just got to find the vehicle that's going to take you there. So understanding that, I'll put this back here because then the shot's better. Understanding that is super important, and I think if you identify what took you there, work on it, there'll be plenty of opportunities where you can make way more money than that. So we talk about this thing called like having glass ceilings and smashing through glass ceilings or limiting beliefs. Most people have a limiting belief that they're never going to make 15K a month. So you've smashed through that ceiling already, and you're the perfect version of you already makes 150 grand a month. So you're 10x in that already. So now that you understand the systems that it takes and the business mentality that it takes to make that sort of money, you now have to think of ways that you can do it in different industries and then build out, and at 20, when I was 20 years old, I slept on the floor living in a gym. So there's so much money out there now. It's so easy to make that sort of money. So I would think you're in a great place. Hopefully you didn't fucking waste it all on booze and hookers, but that's probably what you did. And when I say hookers, I mean women in general. But it's time to reinvent that and do something different and make more money, because you got plenty of time at 20. Last one. How can I connect with you guys? Jeffrey. You can join the upgrade. I'm sure the link is in the bio. Best advice for an 18-year-old in the first year after high school. I mean, depends what you want to do with your life. Look at yourself, identify who you are. That's always the hardest part, and identify what you want. Most people don't even know what they want from their life, so they don't know how to get there. Again, that's what I just said with that guy with 15 grand. Look at all of the ceilings you've broken by 20 years old. You've already been able to do that. So if you don't know who you're, the reason that probably all fell apart is because it came too quickly. This time it'll be better. But if you're 18, you need to do something challenging. Challenge yourself, find the right people, learn how to fight. It's always the easiest one. 18, got your life ahead of you. Don't worry about anything else. Here we go. You talked about people holding you back. I compete in grappling / jiu-jitsu, and I know it's taking away from the quest to start making real money. How do I start prioritizing? Listen, I did jiu-jitsu. I did MMA for 18 years. I know how hard it is. I know how much effort it takes. You got plenty of time to do both. So if you do jiu-jitsu, let's say you train 4 hours a day. That's a lot. Most people don't do that. Maybe you only train once a day. I don't know. But if you're doing jiu-jitsu and you want to do it competitively and you want to be good and you want to become a black belt, you should be training 4 to 6 hours a day. That leaves you with loads of time to build a business, especially now online. You should be joining the real world. You should be getting skills. You should be learning how to, utilize the internet to make money. And if you're into jiu-jitsu, do stuff about jiu-jitsu to make money. There's loads of ways to do it. You can go to your jiu-jitsu club and see where people are spending money and how they're spending money and what they're spending money on. And then maybe you can facilitate something for them and you make money whilst doing jujitsu if that's your passion, if that's what you want to do. I mean, jujitsu is a little bit different opinion on that, but yeah, there's plenty of time. You got plenty of time to be great at jujitsu and make loads of money. Money's so easy now compared to when I was growing up. There's so many things you can do. You're just lazy, so you're just thinking, "Oh, I'm doing jujitsu. I'm tired. Who cares?" Just prioritize whatever's most important to you right now. Depends on your age. You can only do jujitsu competitively at a young age, so I would spend more time on jujitsu at a young age than I would on money, and money comes later. You've got loads of time to make money. You can make money in your 90s. Doesn't make a difference, but you can't do jujitsu. You can't compete. You don't get those memories and those moments. So I would prioritize combat number one at a young age, and then worry about ways that you can make money. But it's a lot of jujitsu athletes. It takes over their entire life. And then when they get to 30, 40, 35, 40, they don't know any other way to make money apart from jujitsu. And they start a jujitsu school and there's not a lot of money in that. So, I mean, there can be, but 99% of the gyms don't make money. So I would, along with that, I would be trying to elevate your skills when it comes to making money online and studying and continually improving yourself and working on yourself. See what else we got. And that's something I had to do. Talking back about the MMA or the jiu-jitsu. When I came out of MMA, I was so lost. I had no fucking clue what to do. And I was in a bit of a tough spot. I had two kids. I was struggling. I was fighting for money and I was getting paid fairly well, 50 grand a fight. It's like, how am I going to go out into the real world and make 50, 200 grand a year just from what? I don't even know. I ain't got a clue, because all I'd done is focused on trying to become the best fighter I could be. And I was 32, 33. I was so fortunate to surround myself with the right people. I had to leave fighting behind 100%. I remember from the day I retired, or the day I decided not to have another fight, I did not train MMA or boxing or jiu-jitsu consistently 2 days in a row for like until now, 7 years later or whatever. I didn't even bother because I knew I'd spend my whole life getting good at that. I need to spend my life on making money and learning skills and everything else. I've only been in the business world for 5 years. So I have a lot of catching up to do still. So don't be me. Don't get to 30 in your 30s and have not focused on anything else and not had a backup and not been working on things on the side and not because you have enough time. You say you don't. Trust me, you have enough time because then when you have kids, you understand you have enough time. You can get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. You can go to bed at 2 a.m. You can do whatever you need to do. So yeah, don't be me. Don't just focus 100% on fighting and forget business and forget life and forget everything else. You might think you don't have time to do it, but you definitely do. That's the best way because also 99% of people don't have the MMA career that I had. And most people don't even, they get injured, they struggle, they don't get anywhere near where I got to. This isn't how you stream. I don't know how you stream. Read the chat, bro. Okay. I'm trying. Whoever Nivan is. I think that will do. Can't see any questions. Oh, wait a sec. Are people out here thinking, okay, I got it. It's because it was so far away. Right. Yeah, Marcel's gay. I see that from Gabby. You're right. Definitely right. Yeah, everyone wants to message me about how to make more money and how they can add value and how they can do this and how they can make me go viral. I get 1,000 messages a day. Trust me. Okay, that'll do. Anything else you spotted, Kenneth? This is a good question. We'll end on this, and I will go from here. Luke, do you think the internet has made people more obsessed with image than with actual skills, or is that just a Tate thing? I think I don't know if it's the internet, but maybe the internet you could blame the internet for everything. But I don't think that's I don't care about the reason so much as why it's happened, but that's definitely something that's not just with men, but with women as well, and everyone. They're so obsessed with how they look online, and we spoke about looks maxing and looks, the way you look in general, rather than having any like competence or any ability or being willing that everyone's so end orientated. Like, what's the result? They're so results based because they see all these people online making all this money, living all these lives. Like, I want to do this too, but they're not interested in the journey or the hard work or what it takes to get there. And it's everything's been so fast for them. So I think the internet has created a generation of people now who don't understand that mastering your craft and getting good at something takes time. And you think you can just learn it all in 5 minutes and then you can teach someone. There was I did a podcast with a guy who put it perfectly, and I can't remember what he said, but it's something about selling your wounds or something like that. But he said people don't. The way you mentor people and you teach people is by having life experience. And you have all these 22-year-olds online trying to teach you about how to make money. I'm sure they have a skill set, but they have not. They haven't mastered it. They haven't spent a decade, 2 decades going through it, and everything's become so fast. And I think speed wins and speed kills, obviously, but it needs to be backed up with worth, with identity, with who you are. Because I see so many people that make all this money and they lose it. Like that guy who just said he made 15 grand a month and now it's not gone. It's because he doesn't even know who he is. He doesn't have any like standards, which is what this is all about. So doing the inner work and looking at yourself and thinking about who you are and who you want to become and not being sold. I've done quite a few videos on this and talked about this, how society is telling you you need to live your life a certain way, and you're doing that thinking that you're living the life that you want to live, but it's not. It's what everyone else has told you to do. It's what all the influencers and all the Instagram and all the videos and all the bullshit has told you that's important, and none of it's actually important to you because you're an individual. So you have to look at yourself as an individual, work out what you want, why you want it, how that was embedded in your brain that you think it's important to have that, analyze it and understand it. And that's what's missing. All of that is missing because you see an Instagram reel and you want that life. And you try and follow this path of this other person rather than following your own path. And that comes down to setting your own standards. And again, it comes down to the whole message with being selfish. Don't be reactive to other things. Decide something you want to do and do it, no matter how long it takes. And by telling you and doing that and achieving something, it will be a snowball effect. It's a snowball effect that where you actually have confidence. One of the other questions always get asked about confidence. It's by keeping your word and saying something, you're going to do something and then doing it. And over time, these little wins stack up and you become a person who can stand in a room and can speak his truth because he believes in himself. And if you believe in yourself, it's easy. But most people, even these people that make money that are online that are telling you to do this, this, and this, they don't even believe what they're saying because they know it's bullshit because they just got lucky or found this or found that or whatever, and they haven't spent the time and really built up and mastered a craft. See him fighting all the time. Mook dojos is what we call them. People that learn a few bits, and you only need to learn one more thing than the guy that you're teaching. So you can go home after the session, you can watch a video and learn something else and go teach that next week. That's what's happening on the internet. Everyone is learning one thing, teaching one thing, rather than like spending their life learning something and then teaching after that. So yes, I think the internet has ruined a whole generation, and that's kind of why I'm here to talk through my journey and everything that I've gone through, and understanding that it all comes down to you and how you look at it and who you want to become, and making it individual and being selfish and winning this year and going after things that you want to go after, but for time and putting an effort and not just having shiny object syndrome where you see one thing and you want to do that and you see another thing and you want to do that. Actually sticking at a craft and sticking at a mission and sticking at something that you believe in, not because it's been sold to you by the internet, but because you've done your research, you've spent your time, and it inspires you to become better. And that's probably a good place to end. You just need to think about what that thing is, and that's the hard part of life. And that's why you're getting sold all these things, because it's easier to sell something to someone than it is to just, actually do something with your life. So I think that'll do. What are we saying? I can make more. Oh yeah, someone's telling me that again. So I'll get better at streaming, and I'll get better at these lives, and I'll work on it week by week. Anything else, Kenneth? How mainstream has gone. I mean, trading again is one of those complicated things. It's something that you have to really, really learn and you have to really, really study. And there's a lot of bullshit out there. So there's a lot of people out there that are, again, selling their success, but is it really success? And a lot of it comes with like memberships and paying for things, and they're just trying to sell you a course to make money from the course rather than actually make money from the trading. And this whole system is so broken. I mean, I offer something which is free, so it's a different system. But there's a lot of groups out there that try and get you to pay a membership. There's no point in paying a membership unless they're teaching you an educational product. A lot of people have Signal channels. They should all be free. We have a Signal educational platform that's completely free. It's called The Vault. I'm sure you can see it in the YouTube. If not, I'll put it there. You can see it on my Instagram, or you can DM me the word Vault on Instagram, and I give you access to a completely free system. And we take nothing from you. It's just we educate you, and you learn actually how to do it. So if there's education and it's free, then it's win-win. If there's no education and they make you pay, it's a scam. And if there's education and it's good education and you have to pay a monthly fee, start something like the Real World, which teaches you actually how to trade. This is a long journey. So if that's something you want to learn for your life forever, then great, do that, and spend the time becoming excellent at it, and make sure that there's nowhere better than the Real World. The Real World teaches you all parts of trading. I know the guy who teaches the trading, and he's phenomenal. So for I think it's $50 a month or $100 a month, it's cheap as chips for what you learn. So you have to assess again where you learn it from. If you want to go free with education, or you want to go paid with education. Education's the important part. You don't want to go for signals. You don't want to go for paid groups. That would be my advice on trading and forex. It's blowing up right now because of gold. Because of gold hitting all-time highs. There's so much volatility in it. There's so much money to be made in it right now. But just make sure you're signing up to the right things. Anyone else? All done? All right, sweet, nice one, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great week. Wednesday, yeah. So a few days left. I mean, every day's the same to me, but yeah, we'll see. I'll see you next week. How do I end this? 50 minutes. Loads more comments. I don't know what to say now, and I don't know how to close this. End session. There we go. Let me end this one as well.